Welcome to my channel, The Three Mountains. My name is White Eagle. Now I bring you part 2 on how to refine alchemy, White Tantra. So let's continue. Now I need to tell you about special circumstances that may happen to you along the path. It has happened to Master Samael. It happened to me, and it may happen to you. The possibility of ending a relationship. In the case of Master Samael, his wife Litelantes would not cooperate in doing alchemy with him anymore, and they were living together but in separate bedrooms. Master Samael needed to keep the fire alive and ascend the second mountain. He needed to finish with the 9 works of Hercules in the second mountain. Now refer to video 100 for the work on the second mountain. And this is the image that I brought you, yes, from that video, number 100, where you can see the work on the 9th sphere. Yeah, let's continue. According to a disciple, Master Samael's words were, "It's like my phallus trying to go through a brick wall," when he tried doing alchemy with his spouse Arnolda Gomez. So imagine yourself in this situation and getting stuck in the second mountain with the need to finish the works of Hercules. His being showed him a new spouse with whom he could continue the work. And so he took a new spouse, and this is how he ended the work in the 9th sphere. The work with the fire in the second mountain. Now then the work with the sex was completed. Master Samael disincarnated afterwards, not needing any more alchemy. Now this girl is remembered as the Angel of Philadelphia for having helped Master Samael in the connection with the 9th work of Hercules and the opening of the chakra of Philadelphia in the second mountain. There was a scandal, of course, after this occurred, caused mainly by the master's wife, Arnolda. She accused him of having committed adultery, when in fact they were not together anymore. Now you will understand how our being will push us to do things that, from the outside, they are condemned by society, but which are right according to cosmic law, because there was no karma received by the master, to the master. So remember when I said what is right sometimes is wrong, and what is wrong sometimes is right, and we will have to go beyond what is right or wrong when obeying our being, the voice of our intuition inside us, who will lead us along the right path. So we must obey. Now my story, I also found myself in this situation of having to change spouses. I was also shown my new husband to be by my being. I was kicked out of my marriage and I went home to Argentina for 1 month. I was not in a hurry and I wanted time for myself, time to cry, time to rest, time and more time. When I came back, my being started pushing me to move on, but I didn't want to. I was not accepting it as it was too soon. I wanted more time for myself. I did not know at the time why I was being hurried to continue with alchemy. I did not know that if I stopped the work in alchemy, my hot air balloon would deflate. I would lose degrees that I had achieved with so much effort along the mountain. In the astral, I found myself on an island, battered by a storm. Something like this. I knew my husband was across the sea, in the mainland. I heard the voice of my being saying, "How are you going to swim to the other shore in this storm? You will drown. He is beyond your reach now." So I woke up. I remember I cried a lot for him, until I finally accepted to let him go. I fell asleep again, drowned in my own tears. I woke up once again in the astral, and the storm had passed. I found myself walking under the sun and holding hands with my new spouse. And that was my situation. I woke up the next day, I packed my things, and I left Edinburgh to move in with my new spouse, whom I married soon afterwards. My work in alchemy had remained stuck between one spouse and the next spouse for about 3 months, no longer than 3 months. Why do I tell you about this? Not because I want you to know my private life. I only tell you this to remember it is your responsibility to keep the fire alive, and if your marriage breaks down, then your being will show you who is the person you will continue to work with, and very soon you'll have to be ready to move in within the next 3 months if you don't want your balloon to deflate and lose degrees earned. If you leave it longer, you risk falling backwards, getting stuck, the ego grows back, and you risk losing all the work you already achieved along the mountain you are in. Now, some quotes from the Pistis Sophia regarding this topic. The loom of God, the great work, functions only with the sixth mystery. The sixth mystery is the lover, the mystery of love. The transcendental sexual electricity is that marvelous force which originates all motion in the loom of God. Those who never transmute the sacred sperm into transcendental sexual electricity leave the loom of God in suspense. Those who leave the loom of God in suspense are not working in the great work. It is necessary to worship Iod-Hev. Nevertheless, if the worshipper does not continue his work in the great work, he becomes stagnant. When one does not possess a hermetic glass, then one must attain it in order to work in the great work. Often, moral codes, prejudgments, and fears constitute a great obstacle to the acquisition of a hermetic glass. A damaged or destroyed hermetic glass does not serve the alchemist for his work in the great work. The hermetic glass is the feminine yoni. You know this. The key of all power is found in the wise connection of the generator lingam with the feminine yoni. Those who spill the mercury do not obtain the generation of the transcendental sexual electricity. Thus they fail in the great work. Spilling the hermetic glass is equivalent to paralyzing all the activities of the 24th mystery. The cowards that are influenced by prejudgments and absurd fears never obtain a hermetic glass. Thus they lamentably fail. Those who, for absurd considerations and false moral postulates, adhere themselves to a destroyed or damaged hermetic glass and do not dare to take a new one, leave the great work paralyzed. Thus they lamentably fail. The treasury is for courageous workers. If the gods do not want their physical body to degenerate and die, then they must feed themselves with the nectar of immortality. The nectar of immortality is contained within the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is the feminine sexual yoni. Now, those are the words of Master Samael. I forgot to add them there at the end. Now, my words, bear in mind that to reach the end of the second mountain can take 20 years or 30 years, depending on your work. And this was stated by Master Samael. So many things can happen in 20 years, but you have to keep the fire going, as the Master did, and I had to go through that too. That's why I gave the examples above. Now, at the end of the second mountain, after completing the 9th work, you will be on your own and will have to do without alchemy for some time, like Master Samael, who completed his work with the Angel of Philadelphia. Next, you reach the 3rd mountain. You will reach your Buddhi in Sephirah Geburah, and you will start alchemy again, but with your own Buddhi. I will clarify this in another video. Now remember to keep the fire alive and going to be able to keep ascending. The fire will serve 2 purposes inside us. The Divine Mother will burn our egos with that fire, with your petition. Yes, and now I give you this image. And refer please to video number 34, where I clarify how we transform our egos. Yes. If you don't work on killing the egos, your balloon also deflates. And here you can see what happened to me, that my balloon started to deflate because I was not working on killing the egos, and I could hear the voice of Master Samael saying, we don't need lazy people. Right? So it is important to work on killing the egos as well. And let's continue. And those words of Master Samael were enough to make me run to work and to the battlefield. Yes, and I kept on working on killing my egos. Please watch again video 34 that explains the 7 vices that must be transmuted into wisdom and love, and the 3 rats that we must kill: desire, the mind, and ill will. Let's continue. The egos are the blockage for the fire to ascend, to rise along the medular channel up to the brain. We must remove that blockage, the egos, by burning them with petition to the Divine Mother Kundalini, and so the fire will move upwards, burning all. Now I take the opportunity to mention that along the path I saw many times how the fire burned my thick jungle, my full of egos, and opened the way, the path for me to continue to pass and continue ascending. Now I give you a warning. If we don't kill our egos, the egos will feed from that fire, and we will grow in evil and for doing evil. Then you will not be allowed to climb the tree of life anymore, because you have become a Hasna Musen, and 2 cherubims guard the tree of life, so only the pure and chaste can pass. Neither do they allow to pass those who have not sacrificed themselves for humanity. So remember the 3 factors, the birth, alchemy, the death of the ego, and the sacrifice for humanity. So if somebody just works in alchemy but does not kill the egos, then tarot card will be the result. Yes, at some point you will see this. So this happens to those who work in alchemy but who do not die in themselves, those who don't kill their egos. Let's continue. Now the topic number 3 from the extract given by Master Samael. Why is it so important to refine the sacrament of the Church of Rome? Because we need to create a surplus. This is the short answer. Now, to exemplify this answer, the answer to this question, I found the following narration. And let's read. If we have some crystals of salt and put them into a glass of water, they will quickly dissolve. And here you can see this image. More can be added over and over again, and they will still dissolve. But there comes a moment when the solution is saturated. Then the salt no longer dissolves, and the crystals remain whole at the bottom. It is the same with the human organism. Even if materials which are required for the formation of a soul are being constantly produced in the organism, they are dispersed and dissolved in it. There must be a surfeit of such materials in the organism. Only then is crystallization possible. The material crystallized after such a surfeit takes the form of the man's physical body, is a copy of it, and may be separated from the physical body. Each body has a different life, and each is subject to different orders of laws. The new or second body is called the astral body. In relation to the physical body, it is what is called the soul, and this was written by Gurdjieff. Yeah. Now, Master Samael says, the authentic and legitimate astral, mental, and causal vehicles are born of sexual magic. It is obvious that during the copula between man and woman, the aura of the husband and wife is totally opened. Then, within our depths, marvelous psychic fertilizations can be performed. The final outcome becomes precisely the birth of our legitimate astral, and later the birth of the other bodies in successive order. Yes, from the perfect matrimony. Now, my words. Regular practice of alchemy is key for keeping the fire alive and for the creation of a surplus or excedent needed for building the superior existential bodies of the being. Yeah, so which are they? They are the vital, the astral, the mental, and the causal is missing in this image. Sorry. Now let's continue. To clarify, at least once a week you have to do the practice of alchemy, not only to keep the fire alive, but also to be creating a surplus. That surplus will be used by your organism to start building the superior vital, superior astral, superior mental, and causal bodies. This is why it is very important to refine the work in alchemy. If you do not practice alchemy regularly, at least once a week, then there is no excess, there is no surplus. So you can spend years doing alchemy and remain in the same spot in the mountain with the black waters, as Master Samael stated above. Most important, be alert to the messages in dreams that tell you go and do alchemy, or you need alchemy. It's been too long without. You will find yourself in the astral being thirsty, in a desert, no water. Images like your hot air balloon is deflating due to lack of work in the elimination of the ego in you, etc. To end this video, I will speak now of the Olympic Games that originated in Greece. I believe you are now ready to understand its esoteric meaning. You have been given the divine fire, and you have been chosen to carry the torch with the divine fire on a long journey. Yes, and here is this man being given the fire, yes, by a goddess from the temple. I think that is in Olympia, where the gods reside. That fire comes from Olympia, the temple of the gods, and you have to tread the path with the torch and look after the fire, as nothing can happen to that fire, or you will fail your task given to you. Yes, there he goes, yes, with the torch and the fire on a long journey he's starting. It's not a race, it is a long journey of many years. You have to tread the path until you reach the end, where the cauldron is waiting for you to light the big fire. And here we have this image of the cauldron, and he arrived to the end and he's lighting the fire in the cauldron. That's where the path ends, the brain, where the Sephirotic crown lies, the Father, Keter, the Son, Chokmah, and the Holy Spirit, Binah. And this is the end of this video. In my next video, I will continue with the third part of Master Samail's lecture on the 3 steps that the fire must take in the 7 regions. And I leave you my email for inquiries. Thanks for watching.